What's happening? Alright, was having these thoughts about the Sabbath day situation. There's a part in the Bible where Jesus was with his disciples, and they're picking corn, and there's these basically pharisaical spies, man, following them, and they're just waiting for any old reason to accuse them of anything. So these guys are basically starving because they've been walking around listening to Jesus talk and preach all day. And these Pharisees are like, you pick corn, you're going to hell, basically. You're a heretic. We're going to kill you. And Jesus is like, he looks at him and he says, all right, look, which one of you dudes, if one of your oxen or your cattle fell down in the creek, you wouldn't go out there and pull it out? And he didn't say, God forbid you'll go to hell, you're going to burn in where you stand with brimstone. And he's like, which one of you don't water your, you don't open up the gate for your sheep to go in to get some water. So it's like basically there's a discernment you use there. Even on the Sabbath day, you can do some things that you need to do if you have to, if the situation calls for it. Even pick corn and to eat. So there's a level of discernment there where there's this commandment to keep it, but at the same time you also got to love your brother. You know what I'm saying? And because that's one of our commandments. It's not an option. So, if you're running around micromanaging everyone, being a fucking Gestapo member, how is that love of thy brother? You know what I'm saying? When you do the same things in secret that he did out in the open on the Sabbath day. Just like there's a part where they're like, the disciples are like, hey, shouldn't we fast and pray? And Jesus is like, no, not right now. The time ain't right. There's a time later when the shepherd's gone that you'll have for fasting and praying. So there's a time and a place for that. There's a time when it's good, it's acceptable, and then there's a time when it's like, no, the time isn't expedient, it's not a good time for that. But there's other time when the necessity demands it, where the word does kind of, the words switch their context, their meaning. It's like this. Alright, all the fearful are the first to be cast into the lake of fire, right? But also, before you can get wisdom and understanding, or it's like, what is it? The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. So look, how is fear the beginning of wisdom? And also, what causes the fearful to be thrown in first into the lake of fire? If these are the same things. Well, then obviously, it's not the word. You look at the contextual basis of the word, and in that certain situation, fear of the Lord is good. But fear of man is bad. It'll get you thrown into the hell real quick. Because, look, fear is what makes people snitch, what makes people roll, what makes people take bribes, what makes people bully people to... Look, that's why they become bullies. Really, because they're fearful. Why do you got to get 20 people and terrorize someone if you're a big, tough cock of the walk? You know what I'm saying? Manly man. Same thing there, man. There's also, let me think of another situation like that. The love of money is the root of all evil. But the love of God, and you love Him to the point you keep His commandments, is where salvation lies, man. So that's more of that. It also says in the Bible that you should love good and hate evil. It doesn't, listen, just because you love and you love righteously, it doesn't mean you can't have hate in you as well, because there's righteous anger, and there's some things that should make you hate them. Like, listen, when you see them chopping up people and selling their organs, like murdering people, selling their organs to rich people, or to people, cannibals basically, that should give you some anger. You should hate that. You should hate the fact that even exists in this world. So there is a form of good hate. You know what I'm saying? And just like there's a bad form of love. And people can't discern between the two sometimes. And that's where, and just like the Pharisees were so legalistic, following around Jesus, looking for any old reason. Hey, aren't you supposed to be at peace today and studying your word? Instead, you're following me around, trying to micromanage me and tell me how to spend my Sabbath day and take away my peace. Aren't you at work right now? Ain't you hard at work trying to sabotage me? You know what I'm saying? For instance, that's where your discernment comes in, because when it comes to God's, it's just like this. It's just like being prosperous. At what point does prosperous turn into mammon and serving mammon? You know what I mean? At what point does your your prosperity turn to greed? And it's like, the love of money, that's where the sin is. It's greed. Just like if you love someone for the wrong reasons, it gravitates towards lust instead of love. You know what I'm saying? That's where all these things, these good concepts, it's like most sins are good concepts turned towards the wrong reason. Instead of giving praise and worship and honor to God, you start to love this statue of these fictional characters, man, and sometimes real characters that are basically demonic creatures. That's where a good thing goes wrong, because basically the way they're supposed to honor God, they're honoring false gods, or even Satan in some cases, which most their false gods are just a different representation, different depiction of Satan. So, like I said, all these good things go wrong. Using your liberty as a cloak of maliciousness. There, once again, using your freedom to run around and be malicious to people in a roundabout way, but you proclaim you're doing it because you're doing it for good. Just like at the wedding, the Bible says don't be a drunkard. But at the wedding, God or Jesus turns water to wine. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, if it was a deadly mortal sin, why did he even? It wasn't fruit juice. If it was fruit juice, it would have said, and Jesus turned the water to fruit juice. You know what I'm saying? I don't like when people try to redirect that with like modern terminology to define things in that context which they're used. I mean, I don't know. That can be debated, and I shouldn't even have took it there. But it still is relevant to what I'm saying here. How some people over deify, man, elevate, certain aspects of the game, which leads them away from the overall understanding. And I mean, is what I'm trying to say here. It's just like better for I mean, I guess to that's the same thing. Better for, like Jesus, when he's trying to debate with the Pharisees in the temples, and they're always contentious with them. There's a part in the Bible, I think it's in Proverbs. Better for a man to go out in the woods or out in the field and chill under a roof with the contentious woman. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and sometimes all that arguing and all that emotional conflict, all that pride and egotism, in a lot of cases, man, it's very, you know what I'm saying? It's very vain. And vanity always does kind of have this effeminate vein to it, and it just in its even very meaning and usage. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the more feminine aspects of thing when people try to beautify and pretty up themselves for the fact for showing off to the others. You know what I'm saying? Mostly that's the woman's role in life. But sometimes even men get trapped up in those type of things, where you got to be the center of attention. You got to be always right. You know what I'm saying? You got to be the big dog on the porch. You can't just live and let be, or even share. That's another thing. When you elevate yourself over others. And it becomes pride and vanity, and you're not obeying the commandments, because the command. If you love God with all your mind and heart and strength, and you follow all the commandments, really that means you're loving your brother as yourself. That's what the truth is. You can't love your brother as yourself, and that means also your sisters, as yourself if you got too much pride and vanity that is in your heart. You know, if you feel too special, you're the center of attention. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at, it's like when it says the body, does the foot exalt itself over the hand? The foot has its purpose, the hand has its purpose. You know what I'm saying? That's the true understanding there. You can live and let be. It's like, I'm not going to let the foot get in the way of the hand. They got to move as a team for us to function to optimum. You know what I mean? And just like to have the optimum understanding, you got to know how the context changes. It's just like the difference between killing and murder. I've read biblical interpretations where it's the Ten Commandments, when it doesn't say thou shalt not kill. It does say thou shalt not kill, but in little parentheses it says thou shalt not lie in wait, which is to set someone up to plan their murder. It means you kill them premeditatedly. Because there's a way, even if you do kill people, even enemies that deserve it, there's a certain way you got to go about it according to the Bible, or it becomes murder, and then you're just as guilty as the guy you killed, basically. So there's a difference. God knows the difference between murder and killing, and war and peace. So the context is changed due to the situation that they're in, and a lot of people have no understanding of this, and that's why I wanted to make this video about it. Plus, it's also biblical related terms and ideas and even scriptures. So that's what you're supposed to. This is supposed to be the Sabbath day here, and so you're supposed. It's good to discuss the word with people on a day like this and rejoice, have peace. Let people have their peace on the Sabbath day. Don't be contentious. Don't you know what I'm saying? Don't be micromanagerial. If you want to get all stir crazy, you go be stir crazy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is just I've been thinking about here in the last day.